Welcome to your personalized deep dive. We are jumping right into a source today, one that promises some pretty immediate, high-octane insight, actually, into one of the most persistent and, let's be honest, often controversial fields, strategic influence,
No,
maneuvering.
absolutely. And for you, the learner aiming to get knowledge quickly, efficiently.
Mm,
Well, the title alone is suggestive. It implies this organized, maybe results-driven syllabus on how the social world really operates. It's like a promise of structure, in what can feel like a chaotic field of human interaction.
totally. And the source we received is explicitly titled Excerpts from the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene PDF. I mean, the reputation of this work definitely precedes it. We're talking about modern strategic literature, really trying to distill centuries of historical experience.
From emperors, kings.
Right, to artists and con men even, into a set of supposedly clear, actionable principles. We're all set, ready to analyze the Machiavellian core, pull out the historical examples, debate the laws.
And what's fascinating, I think, about this particular book's reputation is how it kind of bypasses the usual soft skills talk. It focuses really strictly on the outcome. It's aimed squarely at the learner who wants to understand let's say, the physics of social assent, rather than just the philosophy.
Okay, right, so let's unpack this then. Or maybe, hold on, let's address the wrinkle first, the snag we hit. Because we ran into this bizarre technical anomaly with this specific file.
Oh, yeah.
The title page, the author, the fact that it says excerpts, all that was perfectly preserved, fine. But when our analysis system tried to pull the actual text, the laws themselves,
Yep.
well, we found basically a void.
Exactly. Beyond the title, we were just left with these structural fragments, a few markers that weren't even text, just said IIR, strange. It's like the ultimate intellectual tease, isn't it? You've got the blueprint, this detailed plan for a fortress of knowledge.
But no bricks, no mortar, yeah.
The actual substance is missing.
It's frustrating, sure, but look, it means our mission shifts right now,
Mm.
immediately. We rely entirely on the source material provided. That's the rule, so we can't analyze the specific laws if they're not there. But the title alone, the 48 Laws of Power, that itself is a profound source of insight, I think. We can pivot, move from analyzing the text to a deep dive into the idea of codified power. We need to prepare you, the listener, for the moment those laws do land by building the conceptual framework they'll fit into.
I agree. And actually, this is a perfect opportunity. It lets us study the strategy of strategy, if you will. We can analyze the appeal, the structure itself, the historical lineage that gives a work like the 48 Laws of Power its weight, even when its pages are, well, blank for us right now.
Okay, so let's start right there, that historical context. Because the premise, the idea of taking the messy, confusing reality of human interaction and boiling it down into numbered universal rules, that's not new. Not at all.
No, it goes way back.
You can trace this impulse back thousands of years. I mean, think of Machiavelli's The Prince. It wasn't history, it was a manual, a how-to, or Sun Tzu's Art of War. Not just battle stories, it was a list of maxims, of principles.
The key lineage, absolutely. These works, they don't just offer advice. They offer, or seem to offer, certainty. They imply that power isn't some lottery ticket you get at birth. It's a system that can be mastered if you just know the code. And the 48 Laws fits right into that tradition, promising this kind of master key to unlock success professionally, socially.
And what about the number, 48? Why specifically 48? It feels intentional. It's not a short list, like the top 5 rules. 48 suggests it's comprehensive, thorough.
Exactly. It sort of says, look, we've studied history deeply, and we figured out that influence isn't just 1 or 5 things. It needs almost 50 distinct tools in your kit. And that structure itself, the numbering, that's a mechanism of power too, isn't it? Reducing the chaos into these predictable, numbered actions gives you, the learner, an immediate sense of potential mastery. Instead of grappling with vague ideas like be charismatic or work hard, you get these very specific operational concepts presented to you.
Like, hypothetically, Law 3. Conceal your intentions, or maybe Law 18, do not build fortresses to protect yourself. We're guessing based on the book's reputation, of course.
Precisely. Those kinds of specific directives.
So the idea is the moment you receive the full excerpts, you won't just be reading history. You'll be reading what are presented as the extracted, almost scientific principles of human conflict and advancement, validated by history.
And the historical examples, you mentioned Caesar, Queen Elizabeth I, maybe Talleyrand, they aren't just colorful anecdotes in this framework. They serve as the evidence. Proof points that the law is universal, repeatable across time and context.
And that changes your whole perspective as a learner, doesn't it? It forces you, potentially, to stop seeing events through a purely subjective emotional lens like, why did that person betray me?
Right, and instead, view it objectively, like a move on a chessboard. You might think, ah, okay, that felt like Law 15, crush your enemy totally. Again, hypothetically, just that immediate ability to label and categorize an event. That's the kind of high-efficiency knowledge download you're likely looking for.
But I think we also need to talk about the inherent tension, because that's probably where the real intellectual workout is. It seems too simple to just assume these laws are a straightforward checklist. You follow A, B, C.
I completely agree. If we actually had the text, I'd bet we would find instances where one law seems to contradict another. It's almost inevitable. For example, maybe there's a law about building a powerful, fearsome reputation. But that might conflict with another law about the need to appear humble or unassuming when you're around powerful people.
Okay, right. So the real depth isn't just memorizing the list.
No, not at all. It's about understanding the context, figuring out which law applies now in this specific situation. That's the mastery part.
But that raises a challenge then, doesn't it? If the framework promises clarity, this structure, but then it forces you to deal with contradictions, how does that actually help someone learn rapidly? It sounds like it might just slow you down trying to figure out the conflicts.
You'd think so, but maybe not. I'd argue it provides the necessary intellectual friction for real growth. The quick learner doesn't just want easily digestible facts dumped on them. They want practical application. How does this work? So when you encounter a contradiction, you're forced to analyze the situation more deeply, based on variables like, well, your current position, the strength of your opponent, the specific environment you're in.
Ah, okay. So you move from just passively consuming the knowledge.
Exactly. To active, scenario-based strategic thinking. You're constantly weighing options.
That makes sense. That's the difference between just reading history and actually trying to extract results from it. So even without the text, we can anticipate that the laws probably operate in clusters, right? Thematically. Maybe laws about image and perception, laws about interaction and timing, laws about execution, that sort of thing.
That seems very likely.
Yeah.
And that perception cluster you mentioned, that's probably critical in this kind of framework. A lot of emphasis, I'd guess, is on controlling how others see you, managing your reputation. Things like calculated withdrawal or appearing effortlessly competent even when you're paddling furiously underwater.
Yeah.
The laws likely teach that the perception of power is often more potent than, actual measurable power itself.
Yeah.
And controlling perception. That's an immediate asset in pretty much any professional environment you can think of.
Well, think about what that means for your day-to-day professional life. Once you understand the underlying laws of interaction, when the excerpts finally arrive, you start recognizing patterns in meetings, negotiations, even just casual office dynamics. You might move from reacting emotionally to, say, a difficult manager, to identifying that manager's behavior as potentially an application of a specific strategic principle you've learned about.
It allows for a kind of depersonalization of conflict, which can be really useful. If you suspect someone is trying to use, hypothetically, Law 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. You don't necessarily have to take it personally. You analyze the maneuver, and then you execute a counter strategy, maybe drawing on Law 4, always say less than necessary. This framework provides a kind of standardized language for what is usually very non-standardized human behavior.
That ability to label a tactic, that's the shortcut to knowledge application, isn't it? That's really what this whole deep dive approach is about, making complex knowledge immediately useful for you. So even without the specific rules in front of us, we know they probably emphasize these high-stakes concepts, the importance of appearances, the necessity of patience, the dangers of letting sentiment cloud your judgment.
And what's also intriguing, I think, is how this kind of framework implicitly critiques traditional ideas of fairness, or at least challenges them. This material seems to suggest that success is often achieved through, let's say, asymmetric maneuvering, understanding that the game is often rigged, and the people who succeed are the ones who understand the rules others ignore. Now, that perspective, it can be jarring for some people, absolutely, but it's arguably essential for a complete understanding of how influence is truly acquired and maintained in the real world.
It's about providing a clear-eyed view of human nature, perhaps, without rose-tinted glasses. And possessing this knowledge isn't necessarily about choosing to be amoral yourself. It's about knowing the tools that exist, understanding the strategies that might be deployed, so you aren't blindsided when they're used against you. Knowledge is defense, just as much as it's offense.
Precisely. The real power lies in recognition. pattern recognition. So when the excerpts do arrive, our deep dive will be able to move quickly, much faster, because we've already laid this groundwork. The legacy of strategic literature, the organizational power of these numbered rules, and the fundamental importance of recognizing patterns in complex social systems.
Okay. So we've basically established the intellectual landscape here. We have the map title, the 48 Laws of Power, but the specific roads, the laws themselves are currently unreadable for us. A technical glitch. We are absolutely prepared and eager to dive into the full laws the very moment the complete excerpts are secured.
And we definitely reiterate the promise here. The foundational concepts just suggested by this title, the systematic pursuit of influence, strategic maneuvering, these are perpetually relevant. They're crucial for anyone looking for rapid, professional knowledge acquisition. No question.
But until then, until we get the actual text,
Yeah.
let's leave you with some intellectual anticipation, a task. We want you to take the abstract concepts we've discussed today, legacy, structure, tension, pattern recognition, and apply them to one single question.
Right. Based only on the foundational idea of strategic influence, what we've talked about today, this long history of codified power. If you had to distill everything down, the entire concept of social influence and maneuvering into one single, non-negotiable rule, the very first law of power,
Yeah.
the one rule that maybe all the other 47 are built upon, what would it be?
Yeah, think about that. If you could only keep one universal rule to gain or maintain influence, that single rule that defines everything else, the bedrock principle of the entire system as you imagine it. What is the most fundamental law of power? Mull that over while you anticipate the full source material. We really look forward to decoding the real laws with you very soon.